the Huma, the Humera, the Humorous. No, it's the Huma. And it's from Sub250. And it's here today on the channel for review, setup, configuration, and I'll give you an idea as to what I think about it. So let's first of all get into this video by starting to unbox the box that the box came in. It's always an exciting day at Quad Towers when we receive a new box. Sometimes we don't know what's inside the box. Anybody who is British will get the relevant or the relevance of such a comment. Anybody from outside the UK may not understand. There was a game show in the 80s called What's in the Box. I'm showing my age now. So what's in the box is a box, and as we look at the box we can see it's got the Sub250 branding on it. The Huma is within this box, so we'll take a quick look and we'll open it up and we can see that it's lovely and shrink wrapped and protected, and on top Sub250 very kindly also included a couple of 4S 720 mAh LIHV cells for me to use. We'll take everything out of the box, we'll set it up, we'll discuss it, and we'll go from there. So first of all, as you take it out of the box, you get loads of spares, screws, grommets, stuff. Propeller wise, you get obviously the set that's on the drone itself when it ships, but you also get two spare sets of HQ 2x2.2x4 propellers. You also get two battery straps. You only need one at any one given time on the drone, but obviously you've got a spare as well. It's all Sub250 branded, looks lovely. Now if you get the version with the 03, you'll also get the 03 manual in the box as well, as you can see here. If you get the plug and play version where you add your own 03 in, obviously you won't get that 03 manual, just bear that in mind. So you've got spare screws, nylon nuts, you've got the adapter to add a GoPro. Now I decided I was going to fly it with a GoPro, but I decided that I wouldn't, because the majority of people I'm going to guess that buy this probably initially won't, but I'm going to revisit it in a few weeks and fly it with a GoPro as well. So we'll do a cheeky little follow-up video if you like. So really quickly we'll get into the fact that Sub250 did send me this drone free of charge. They didn't pay me for a review. They won't see anything before it's released, and they haven't asked me to specifically say anything about it. It's powered by 1304 6000 kV motors. Again, Sub250 branded. Everything here is branded and on point and looks really nice. Moving over to the manual, again it's dead clear and concise, very easy to understand, and it details the Red Fox A3 45 amp all-in-one flight controller. General spec overview wise, that flight controller is bleeding edge. It's an F7 and we're using BL Heli 32. We've got a 45 amp ESC built into it all, and probably, I make no qualms about the fact that one of my favorite drones that I've ever flown was the Sub250 Oasis Fly 25 using the very same flight controller. I rate it that highly. Now weight wise, without the battery, it comes in at about 140 grams, and with the batteries supplied by Sub250 we are looking at around 210 grams, so well under the 250 mark that this brand aim to have all their drones out by. Now that does mean obviously if you are going to add a naked GoPro that you are going to need to add a relatively light one to stay under that 250. I believe the Flywoo and the Gepard C ones will probably push it over, because I think they're about 35, 37 grams. So you'll need something like the nameless version, which is about 15, could be making up 15, 16, 17 grams or so. Now version wise, it comes in several different configurations. We've got a plug and play and an 03. So that means you would need to put your own receiver in, but the 03 is included. You can have it with ELRS and the 03 already included. So that's a literal bind and fly. You just bind your 03, you bind your ELRS, and away you go. You've got TBS and 03. You've then got plug and play without. So plug and play without the 03 would mean that you would have to supply and fit your own receiver and your own 03. Now the 03 is dead simple because obviously it's on a cable, but if you're going to provide your own receiver, you'll need to know how to solder. That may be a deal breaker for some people. You can also buy it with ELRS already included but without an 03, or with TBS already included but without an 03. Prices range from $159 for the essentially bare bones version which doesn't have a receiver or an O3. And they go all the way up to $369 with the TBS and O3, or $359 with ELRS and the O3. So we like to keep things as newbie friendly as we possibly can here on this channel. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to show you how to activate and update your O3. So if you was to receive this with an O3, it wouldn't be activated. You would need to activate it on your account. You would also then need to update it for safety reasons, and I'll get into that in a second. The app or the PC program or Mac program that you will need is called the DJI Assistant 2, and then in brackets consumer drones. So there is a DJI Assistant 2 as well that you can download. That won't work for what we're going to use it for today. So if you are a newbie and you're going through this whole process and you're wondering why it won't connect, you need to download the right one, consumer drone. All you need to do then is plug the USB cable into your PC or Mac, and then plug it into the USB port on the O3. You don't need to plug in power, so you don't need to plug your LiPo in or your LiPo in. I always get told off by the Americans for saying it wrong. Sorry guys. What that will do is that will provide enough power for us to update it. And what we do is we then open up the program, and as we open up the program, it will connect. It will say that we've got an O3, and it will show us what firmware is available for us to upgrade it to. And we'll just speed this video up a little bit. Once we've pressed upgrade, it will do everything that you need it to do without you doing anything. The reason why I say upgrade it to the latest version is the prior version and the version before that was causing issues whereby when you lost a signal or you got a low signal, it would just black out. People were losing quads, and it became quite dangerous. So make sure you're on the latest firmware with this. And obviously if you've got goggles, you're going to need to do exactly the same. Now I've got the Goggles 3 here that I've not upgraded for a while because of the bugs. I've been just flying my old Goggles 2 for safety reasons, but I'm going to upgrade them today as well, and it's exactly the same process. It asks you which one you want to upgrade to. You just obviously plug the USB cable in first. You don't need power. Oh no, you do need to power these on, sorry. So you need to turn these on and then plug it in. And away you go, it'll upgrade. It takes a little bit longer than an O3, but away you go. It's an automated process, so it's not a problem. And then again, sticking with the newbie friendly content here, we want to go into Betaflight. So obviously power down your goggles, unplug the O3, and then you want to plug the cable into the back of the humorous. Some people would say that I'm not humorous. So yeah, you plug the cable into the back of the Huma20 and open up Betaflight, get it all connected. And what we're going to do is we're going to check a few things. So we can check obviously the ports tab. I'm also going to turn on my controller at this point because I'm going to very quickly just stab the battery power 3 times to put the receiver into bind mode, and then I'm going to hit bind on my receiver so that I can check all my control surfaces are the right way within Betaflight. And then once we've got the bind confirmed with the audio, and also you can see in the top right of the Lua script there is a little C there as well. Now I did have to change mine slightly. I use RETA on my controller. Most quads don't come with that, so obviously I check the control surfaces and I can see that they're not quite right, so all I do is just type in RETA and hit save, and then we'll check again to make sure that the right control surfaces are controlling the right controls, and away we go. Then we just need to set up our switches, so I would click on hide unused modes, and we literally just set the arm switch, and we'll set the other 2 on the same switch as well. The only other thing to do then is to check on the rates and the OSD. So the rates are set to KISS. Now this is going to be a drone that's going to be flown primarily for cinematic and smooth. So I'm going to use actual rates, and I'm going to deaden the center of the stick by changing the value in the left hand side column to 10. That's the lowest possible value, and basically that gives the center of your stick such a deadening that it's so easy to fly. Really, really cinematic. We'll just check the filters and everything to make sure that we've got a PID tune on there, and we will trust that Sub-250 have done a great job because they normally do. And then we flick over to the OSD tab. We can see that an OSD has been set up. There's no GPS on this quad, so I don't need to go too deep into this. As long as I've got battery and RSSI information, I am more than happy with that. And that leads us to the final job before we take it out to the field to fly it, and that is to tear off the protective film on the camera of the 03. I would always recommend doing this at the very end of your setup. Now, I could not for the life of me get this off, so I did have to use a little bit of a screwdriver just to poke up the sides, and then I did the rest with my hand for safety reasons because I don't want to scratch that camera. There is, however, a video linked above if you need to replace your camera because you've crashed too many times. I did off camera do a very quick test hover before I then took it out to the field, just to make sure that it arms and to make sure that each control surface is acting in the way that it should act. Now, obviously that is a lot of information for you to have to take on board, so I have chapterized this video, and I would recommend that if it was a bit much watching it through at first, go back, check the chapters if you need to set anything up, and just follow it all through. It's all very straightforward when you know what you're doing, but it is so overwhelming when you don't. Now, obviously we've started the first flight. As you can see, there was snow, ice, sludge, slush everywhere. So what I had to do is I had to take off and land in the boot of my car, which was a challenge in itself, but actually shows just how controllable the Huma20 from Sub-250 really is. Now we can see that from these flights, this drone will fly really precise, really accurate, really cinematic. But when we push it, it will also do air mode, acro mode, whatever you want to call it, really well as well. And that surprised me quite a lot because obviously it's a 2-inch quad, so the props are a little bit on the smaller side when it comes to this type of flying. We've obviously got all the protection, which obviously just it helps to fly around people and to use it as a professional tool. But when flying freestyle, it makes it a little bit more challenging because of the airflow. But this flies really, really well, and actually it has genuinely surprised me. What this means essentially is when it comes to flying in congested areas, we're always told that we have to make sure we mitigate our dangers. Sometimes it's no good saying, well, I'm going to rip a 3-inch or a 2.5-inch around a city centre because it's under 250 grams. It's not quite as simple as that. With the Huma20, it's under 250 grams and all the props and moving parts are completely enclosed and protected. I'm not necessarily suggesting that you rip around a city centre with it, but at the same time, it gives you more places that you are able to rip and fly, as well as flying really spectacularly well. I've got zero complaints about how it flies. You've got the extra grunt and the extra power from the 4S to sort of help with the smaller props and the lesser airflow because of the way the frame is protecting all the moving parts. I've got very few complaints with it at all, in fairness. So I'm going to shut up and just let the remainder of the flights play out to a little bit of music, and then we'll come back and we'll answer the eternal question of, do I think I can recommend people make a purchase? So that was a flight. I think we'll all agree it flies incredibly well. Very surprising for something so small and so enclosed. But it does bring us to the eternal question, and that is, should you buy it? And as always, the answer to this is maybe. See, Sub-250 have an incredible range of quads. They've got the Oasis Fly 25, they've got the Oasis Fly 30, they've got the Huma20, and all three are brilliant at what they do. The question is, what are you going to use it for as to whether or not I think you should buy it? This is without a shadow of a doubt one of the best flying and best well-made 2-inch Cinewhoops on the market. It's full carbon fiber. It looks really nice. It flies really nice. It's under 250 grams. you've got the extra power of the 4S. It really is a great quad. The answer of should you buy it or not ultimately comes down to what you're going to use it for. If you're going to rip around an open field, and on your open field, you're going to do flips and tricks over trees and bushes and hedges, I would recommend that you buy either the Sub-250 Oasis Fly 25 or 30 instead of this. If, however, you're wanting to fly this maybe closer to people, at events, maybe at family gatherings, and that sort of thing, but also you want the ability to go and rip a pack as well, then this is probably going to be the best drone that you can buy in this category. And speaking of in this category, if you really want to buy a Sub-250 quad and don't want prop guards, then click this link here to view the review of the Sub-250 Oasis Fly 25.